Alright, let's take a tour of Mikuni carburetors and some of the things you need to do to fix idling and acceleration problems. Now we're going to be dealing first of all with this page here. You can read about the float chamber. Don't forget to service your fuel filter. Make sure your needle and seat are not clogged. They generally are not generally a problem. Excuse me. Jets. You can access your jets through this cover right here. And we've got a series of jets. As I've mentioned before, they have a tendency to unscrew themselves. So if you're idling and driving along and then idling and then all of a sudden the car just stops, a lot of times it's because this has unscrewed itself. And so you just remove the jet cover here and go in there with a flat blade screwdriver and screw these back in place. And we're also going to be dealing with the pilot jets, which are the idle system. And then we're also going to be dealing with these pump jet weights, which are part of the accelerator pump circuit. And let's take a look at the actual carburetor. So you've got you're going to want to remove the carburetor float bowl cover by undoing all your screws. They're not all the same length, so be aware of that. And the biggest thing that you're going to run into after the car's been in service for a while, or actually it doesn't really matter, just the biggest problem that you're going to run into right now is that the float bowl cover gasket has to come off with the float bowl cover. And if it doesn't, get yourself a knife and go very carefully underneath your gasket. And this one came up very easily because I've already been in here, but what you need to do is go around all the way around the perimeter with the knife, very gently lift that gasket off of the carburetor itself and set it off to the side. Well, at this point you can certainly check your needle and seat for function. Make sure it's opening and closing. As you can see, that one drops back down into place. So we're going to set that off to the side. Now then, your jets that this entire jet block can come out is for cleaning. You just unscrew the whole thing, and you can see how easily that one came out. I hadn't even been in here before. This whole thing comes out. And just do a general cleaning. Look down inside the hole, and what I like to use is this product here, Berryman's B12 Chem 2 carburetor cleaner with a red nozzle, and then just use this for squirting down in there and cleaning things out. There should not be much in there because this is all handling air. Now your big issue with idle is what's called the pump jets. Pilot jets, I'm sorry, these are the pilot jets. Now let's take a look at the diagram so you get an idea what we're talking about. These are the air jets, these are the pilot jets. So here's our pilot jet, and then these are for the air jets. Okay, so this pilot jet, one for each barrel, comes out, and again, this is where you're going to use your cleaning fluid. You're going to want to stick it down in there and then blow it and clean it out. Now what controls your idle is the very, very tiny hole right here, which is probably about 1/2 millimeter diameter. And that is, when you get a piece of grit in there from a piece of dirt, that is going to clog up, and then you will not have an idle. Real easy to take care of. Just blow through it, or if you need to, take a small wire brush and take one of the little tines on the wire brush and get in there and clean it out. And then blow it out and stick it back in. And since you don't know, you may not necessarily know which one of these is clogged, do them on both carburetors. On both carburetors, both barrels, and then you're good to go. As part of the accelerator pump circuit, while we are here, well, let's see, another jet while we're down inside the float bowl is called the starting jet, down inside here. You can see it way down the bottom, that brass jet down at the bottom and here. Again, clean that out. It has a small orifice, but not so small that it usually gets clogged, but nonetheless cleaned out. And in general, take a look down inside your float bowls and see what kind of dirt is in there. And this one actually has a fair amount of dirt in there, which can be cleaned out. While we're here, we are going to take a look at part of the accelerator pump circuit. And this is these are weights down inside here, and there's a ball down below that. And these weights will either get stuck, or the ball down below there will get stuck, and your accelerator pump circuit won't operate. Now the problem is these are brass, and with absolutely no way to get down in there to pull them out, unless you possibly could use compressed air to maybe lift them out. But what you really have to do is dump the carburetor upside down. Now there's two of them in here, one for each barrel, and so you don't want to lose everything. So what you can do is you can hold your finger over here, and that counterweight and ball are going to come out of that side. Here comes the counterweight. And there came the ball right behind it. Alright, and if that ball doesn't come out, then it's stuck, and that's going to be part of your problem for accelerating. So now we're going to just put them back in where they belong. And I'm going to try to anyway. There we go. Ball's down in there, counterweight's down in there. Same thing for this side. And as I say, a lot of times you can't do it unless the carburetors are turned upside down, and the problem is you will not know if that ball is stuck down there, because the counterweight, the brass weight, might move around, but the ball could be physically stuck on its seat. And again, this is where it helps to spray the heck out of it with this cleaning solution. It does a great job. It's very volatile, so keep that off of paint. Now then, also as part of the accelerator pump circuit are the accelerator pump discharge nozzles. Let's see, let's get a picture of them. They are right here. It's called the pump nozzle. Underneath a brass cap with a rubber O-ring, and this is the pump nozzle. And they are indexed and oriented, so they only go in one way, but you can put them in wrong and screw things up tremendously. I'm going to be careful not to dump this upside down, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at inside the throats here, and we're going to look at the nozzles up inside here. And that nozzle, that pump nozzle, has got a little teeny hole on it, very teeny hole, for squirting out the fuel, and that is oriented one particular way. Now, let's see, usually when you screw these off, there's a rubber O-ring that should come off with it, but this O-ring is sticking down inside there, so we're gonna get that O-ring out and put it back where it belongs, which is on the brass cap or cover, and that's where it belongs. It should stay on there. Now notice we got, this is a little wet in here. It's wet right here. That's because we're blowing cleaner down inside here. Now notice, before you do anything, notice how deeply inset this jet is right here, that nozzle. Notice how deeply inset it is. The reason for that is because you can put it in wrong and it'll stick up too high, but you can still put this cap on, and as you screw it down, you will jam this in here and screw it up tremendously. And so we take this out very carefully, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Now what you'll see is it has a flat right here. See, it's not round. It's rounded here, but it's flat right here, and also has a sealing washer, an aluminum seal washer. Sometimes those will stick down inside there, so make sure you have the sealing washer either here or down inside the hole. And this flat matches up with a flat down inside here, so that this nozzle is oriented the correct way. Now if we put this in incorrectly, you just drop it down into place. Notice how high it sticks up. Well, that's wrong. So what you want to do is pull it back out, and obviously the little hole right here for your discharge nozzle, that little teeny hole, which is very, very minuscule, has got to go basically towards the outlet of the carburetor. And so just orient it in that general direction, and then very carefully. Let's see where my flat is. Okay, there's my flat, and then you see it drop right down in there where it's practically flush, and that's it. You've got that cleaned out. Once again, once that's out of there, just squirt some solvent through the jet itself, and then that screws down very nicely. Excellent. Now we're going to put the float bowl cover back on so we don't end up dropping any balls out of the body. Make sure it sets down nicely, and you'll see everything will fit down very nicely. And then just secure your screws real quick so nothing flops out, because we're going to turn it over in a minute and discuss the accelerator pump gaskets on the bottom, diaphragms and gaskets. And I just don't want anything falling out temporarily, so hang on a second. Alright, now on the bottom we've obviously got your accelerator pump diaphragm, and inside this body there's a check ball. Let's turn to that page here. The accelerator pump. I'll let you read this real quick. Okay, this is the part we just did. We pulled out the pump nozzle, and it says here, when fitting the pump nozzle, be sure to insert the packing the packing is the aluminum washer, and to fit the nozzle in the proper position. Well, they don't tell you that it's indexed with a flat, and that's what I just told you, and that's very critical. And then the accelerator pump can be disassembled into the basic parts: the cover, the diaphragm, the spring, the packing, the pump body, washer, etc. Notice that the inlet check ball is incorporated into the pump body. The pump body is right here. There's a check ball inside there. If a sound generated by the ball is heard when you shake the pump body, it is okay. And if any abnormality is found, replace it with a new one. Well, I've never seen anything with pinholes or flaws. The only abnormality is that ball inside there gets stuck from sitting around. So once again, what you're going to do is you would take this assembly apart and physically shake the body to see if there's a rattle in there. You might Now you can't do it with the complete unit assembled because you got too many things that could rattle the float bowl, the float, and the check balls in here, and then maybe a spring or something. So what you need to do is pull this off and would check the ball inside the accelerator pump body. Got to put this one back. Alright, so those are the basics of keeping these things running. By and large, it's going to be dirt and dried gasoline that are making the carburetor not run, because these are very basic carburetors, and they should operate very well for a long time as long as you keep clean fuel. And of course you've got some other passageways in here that you're welcome to address. Okay, you got some, maybe you can see them, there's little tiny, we're looking in this area right here. These are these very little tiny holes right here. They're called bypass bores, and they go into the various circuits, and including the the idle mixture screw circuit. And so what you can do is blow your carburetor cleaner in here to make sure they are those passageways are closed, or open rather, unclogged. And what they do is, as you gradually open the throttle plate uncovers those holes so that various amounts of air and fuel get mixed in to transition from idle to full operating. So I think that will help you out immensely. If you have any questions, just ask. Good luck.